Welcome to the 49th episode of the Arizona Mining Review. We're here at the Arizona Geological Survey with Carson Richardson, economic geologist, who just published a directory of active mines in Arizona for 2019. Carson, what's the purpose of this active mine directory?
So the active mine directory is all about knowing where our resources are. So the last time we published an active mine report in the state of Arizona was in 2007. And since then, we've not had a published directory saying, here's where our mines are, what they produce, and what commodities they're going after. So this is basically telling planning entities, local governments, and the state, where are your resources if you need to have a major infrastructure project, and where can you get them? It's also a step forward in one day deciding where are our future resources located and kind of planning ahead to make sure we don't sterilize a resource before we start producing it.
Sort of critical for local municipalities and counties to be certain they know where their resources are.
Yes, it's Arizona, so we have a lot of potential competing land uses between agriculture, recreation, mining, and exurban and urban development. And so what we need to do is kind of know where we're going to have the resources to build these things and to use it, especially before we start developing over places without thinking ahead of time.
So what does the mining environment in 2019 look like in Arizona?
Well, we're still staying at the top of the nation for copper. About 2/3 of copper is produced annually in Arizona, with 40% of molybdenum produced as a byproduct of copper mining as well. In terms of the bulk of Arizona's mines, we are largely producing from aggregate resources, so sand and gravel pits, limestone, construction materials, that sort of things. But a huge value of it comes from the metallic mining.
Sounds like a big task pulling all of these data together and publishing a report like this.
It is. Thankfully, this is a collaborative effort with the Arizona State Mine Inspector's Office. So they provide a lot of the data as one of their responsibilities is to gather this, and then we help synthesize it together and put it out there. And so this is a joint effort between AZGS and the Arizona State Mine Inspector's Office.
And looking ahead to the next years, are you planning an annual directory to be published, and if so, what is it going to look like?
So this will be an ongoing effort where we will now be producing one every year going forward, and additionally we'll be adding things that other state surveys often add in, where we'll be including production data, so kind of what does it look like in terms of copper across the state for moly and for other metals, and additionally kind of exploration highlights, so where are people drilling, what are their major intercepts they might be reporting through press releases and whatnot. And that's great information because often it's not captured elsewhere. So the USGS publishes data, which is great, but it's typically at a very granular level where it might just be statewide syntheses. And we hopefully will have something a bit more detailed. We're considering this mine produced this much this past year.
Any thoughts on the exploration environment right now in Arizona? Who's looking for what and where?
Copper is always going to be a big one here, but there's a lot of exciting things around, other base metals now, where you have Hermosa that's advancing in the Patagonia Mountains. So people are now thinking, okay, Arizona can also be looked at for lead, zinc, silver and gold associated with some of these carbonate replacement stuff. And additionally, Hermosa is interesting just because it has, almost 9-10% manganese, which is often unheard of in terms of economically recoverable from a deposit such as that.
So in the research that you did working with the mine inspector's office, is there something that you ran into in the data that surprised you in terms of productivity of a particular kind of mineral?
Not in particular anything that was surprising. The data we worked with essentially just reported where the active mines are and didn't include detailed production for known places. One thing that is changing though, that's been in the news recently, is coal mining is ceasing in Arizona, with Kayenta mine having just closed and the Navajo generating station closing soon. And so as a result of that, that's a long history in Arizona that's now ending in terms of that mineral production.
So what else should people know about mining in Arizona and where it's going in the next several years?
Well, as we have this, low carbon to future energy transition, one of the big things going to happen is we need to have more of these green critical metals that are going to be mined. And, we do a great job of recycling already, but we'll need more of those. Additionally, with a lot of green energy conversion, you need a lot more copper. So as a result of that is, when you go from a typical energy generating station to one that's going to be, say, solar or wind turbine, you need typically about an order of magnitude more, so 10 times the amount of copper. So as a result, mining can't go away if we need to power this transition. We have to keep mining in order to move ourselves off hydrocarbons, or at least reduce our hydrocarbon consumption.
Okay. Carson, thanks for joining us on the Arizona Mining Review.
You're welcome.